So due to unforeseen circumstances, our original Johnny, Joe Lorenz, is not able to continue with us here at the studio. And so my dear friend and colleague, Trevin, has stepped in like a valiant white knight to save the day. While we will miss Joe here terribly, we're really thankful that Trevin is willing to dive into this show at such short notice.
This is the first time that I have ever worked on stage with Whitney as an actor. I have directed her quite a number of times and I have seen her on stage, but this is the first time we've ever worked together as performers. So it's an opportunity. I think when you're artists, you're always looking to explore new aspects of your professional relationship, and this is an opportunity for us to grow and learn about each other in a way that we never would have probably done before. Acting is a different animal because when you direct a play, which is what I've done in the last few years of my life almost exclusively, once the play opens, it's sort of none of your business anymore. You check in on it through your stage manager, but once a play opens, the evolution has just begun. It's kind of an interesting experience and an exciting one to take off that one hat and go back to a hat that's really how I started out, because much of my early life I intended to be an actor. It's only because through a series of professional developments that I started directing plays. So this is kind of going back to my roots. I'm trained as a professional actor, so I'm excited to do something that I think most people are surprised to find out, particularly those who are regulars to the studio, that he acts. Yes, I do act, as a matter of fact.
And quite well.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I think I will address the elephant in the room when we talk about Frankie and Johnny and what the audience can expect. We do have advisories on the show for sexual content, language, and nudity, and so you can expect all three of those things. I believe there's also a violence advisory. The violence is light. The sexual content is, I wouldn't call it heavy, but it's definitely there. It's a big part of why they're together. They have a very strong sexual connection, and there is a little bit of nudity in the show as well. If those ideas make you feel uncomfortable, maybe stay home.
I think that you can find a lot of really basic human instinct in this play. Yes, there is sexuality, yes, there is nudity, but those things lead to the most important aspects of the human condition, which are love. And at its heart, that's what this play is about. It's about two people finding a connection, resisting finding a connection again. And there's so many ways that we do that as human beings. And McNally takes us on the journey of two people in a way that very few playwrights can. Really that true fly-on-the-wall scenario of two people in a post-coital situation.
One of my favorite lines in the play is Frankie says, "Everybody has armor, they'd be dead if they didn't." And I think that is a huge part of the play, is when two people come together, in order for them to really connect, they have to be able to shed that armor. And both Frankie and Johnny have their own kinds of armor. And I think a lot of the play is about them figuring out how to really be naked together. Even though the play begins with them naked together, they're never more naked than they are by the end of the play when they actually have all their clothes on, because they've actually revealed things about themselves.
Frankie.
Yeah, Johnny?
You think people ought to come down to the Studio Theater at Tierra del Sol and pay us a visit?
Well, why not?
Okay.
What else are they gonna do?
Good point.
Although actually they got a lot of stuff they could do. They could play golf, they could go to dinner, they could listen to music on the square. There's a lot of other stuff they could do. So I hope they pick us, that'd be great.